Uh, Good afternoon, one and all present here. I'm Dr. Ritesh Palkar, as one of the coordinator for this today's webinar. Welcome you all on the skill development webinar, which is conducted by Department of Chemical Engineering, Faculty of Technology, Marwadi University, Rajkot. As you are aware, we are working on this series of webinar. So in today's skill development webinar, we are going to focus on chromatographic process. So how this gas chromatography and HPLC is having importance in chemical industries, that we are going to discuss today. I'm Dr. Ritesh Palkar, Assistant Professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering, Faculty of Technology, Marwadi University, Rajkot, along with my co-host of today's webinar, Dr. Manish Khodwe, who is working with me as Associate Professor in our department. Welcomes you all. As far as introduction is concerned, today I feel I am also feeling somewhat nostalgic that the content which is delivered on GC and HPLC by Dr. Manish Khodwe, he is a person who is having almost 20 plus years of academia and industry along with academic research experience. So he has worked in many industries where GC and HPLCs are being served the purpose of quantitative analysis. So today I feel this webinar will try to give you glimpse of overall working principle and applications of GC and HPLC in chemical industries. So once again, I take this opportunity to welcome each and everyone present today, along with my co-host, Dr. Manish Khodwe. Yeah. So today we are going to discuss about GC and HPLC. Next slide, sir. Yeah. So let us start with the history of gas chromatography. Yeah. So whichever the content we are going to start initially, it is always better to understand about the history or development of that particular process or equipment. So what exactly this gas chromatography is? Many of you might have heard about chromatographic process, right? It is very simple. The simple experiment which we might have done during our school days or somewhere else also, that paper chromatography, how the process is occurring against gravity and how we can separate based on its layers. That is certainly everyone who are present here are aware about it. So the one person who started with chromatography with a different aspect was researcher John Potter Martin, who developed the first liquid gas chromatograph, and he is a notified scientist who won the Nobel Prize. Let's say he's the person who is known as father of modern gas chromatograph. So let us start it. This started with 1950s, or let's say after that in 1952, there are a lot of changes are occur in the field of chemistry and chemical engineering, where a lot of publications has been observed till date. Okay, that is given in the next slide. So number of publications has increased. You might have seen that there are different kind of processes which requires analytical as well as qualitative and quantitative analysis. Unless and otherwise you are aware about the properties of material, of any material, you are not going to implement this. Same thing which we are observing right now. If we are looking for the vaccination of COVID-19, many companies, many nations are working on it. actually they have prepared different kind of samples, but unless and until those are qualified and quantified, we are not going to market those kind of vaccines. The same thing, this is the basic, that is we have to learn about separation technique. So being a chemical engineer or being an engineer who is working in a process industry, he must be aware about the technique which is given by the Martin and James. So the major chromatographic techniques, there are different kind of techniques which will be discussed in due course of time by Professor Manish Khodwe. So there are different n number of research articles are present, but if you are able to see the statistics which we have provided, that within 15 years of span or 13 years of span, almost 18,000 publications has been observed based on the gas chromatographic analysis. Okay, and nowadays what we are doing as academic research or process scientists, we are going to optimize the instrumentation, how it can be feasible. So generally, if you are able to see that, maybe Dr. Khodwe will discuss about how that liquid is injected and then it is converted into vapor. So why the name is gas chromatography is given, that is based on that. You will say that, sir, we are going to inject liquid, but the name is given gas. So what is the process, how it is going to be implemented? It will be discussed in due course of time by our expert, Dr. Manish Khodwe, sir. And next, we are going to discuss about how it is working, right? The one thing which I had discussed right now with you is, let's say for a GC, you want to analyze the content which is in liquid form, right? So as I told you, as the name suggests, it is gas. So whatever liquid which you are going to implement for analysis, that must have some properties that at higher temperature it get converted into gas. So that means gas chromatography is only applicable for good volatile compounds, or that may be, that can be made volatile after suitable derivatization, that means, or by pyrolysis, means by heating up to a certain temperature. Okay, so these are the prerequisite for analyzing gas chromatography. And let's say if overall we are having if we are considering whatever the chemicals present or liquids those are present which are applicable overall in food, drugs, and several process industries, even including pharmaceutics, there are only 20% of chemicals available that can be analyzed directly by GC. So though we will take, there are n number of chemicals available right now, which list may be available on various sites and various standards, books, and monographs. You may be able to analyze that if, though it is 20% of chemicals are analyzed by GC, each and every process industry, they are having their own GC set. If at a certain time it is not working, so it is somewhat difficult for that process to be carried out, because analysis is very important. And even as a customer, even you guys also, when you will go to the store and you will purchase something, you will see whether it is tested okay or not. If it is tested okay, then you are going to purchase any kind of application. So when it is gone through the GC process, then only you will be able to analyze what content exactly it is. Either it may be weight by weight, it may be volume by volume, or some other quantity. But everyone is concerned about its composition. And in different process industries, GC set and HPLC sets plays a crucial role. So in next slide, we are going to show you about how these GC sets are being seen. On the extreme right side, if you are able to see that, that is, let's say, somewhat conventional, right? It is having a digital display which is kept on machine itself, whereas the set which we kept at left side, it is connected to the computer system. So that means how the advancement has come, that is offline and online analysis. So as soon as you will do your analysis, you will get the results, right? So there are different kind of things. Next we are going to show you about how these are the different parts of GC. So see, whenever you are going to any hospital, you might have seen that there are different number of pipes are been connected to the oxygen cylinders, right? So it is something similar to this one. This assembly will be something similar to this one, where you have to remove the moisture. Okay, you have to convey the different kind of carrier gases like helium and other things. Those may be somewhat noble gases, and those are fixed for certain kind of operations which we are going to conduct with the help of GC, right? So the material which is going to be analyzed, it is to be injected inside the system, but the quantity or amount of liquid which is injected into the system, it is in terms of milliliters or microliters. So these injections are very, very small, and it is very critical while taking sampling and analyzing, right? The third part is oven. As I told you, we are going to inject the liquid sample. Next, we are having oven, which will try to convert that liquid into gaseous phase. But one should take care of the temperature range, because it, as in first or second slide we have seen, there must be a volatile nature of that liquid which we are considering for GC analysis. So oven is required to just analyze, or let's say modern, or let's say uh, what we can say, just to manipulate the temperature range. Okay, next to that we are having a column. So for different liquid or different application, we are having different columns. The numbers are given. Maybe Dr. Khodwe will highlight the different column, its application, size, shape, right? So different columns are required. You might have heard about this. If you will ask to the any laboratory that I have a biodiesel sample, or I having different kind of sample which I have synthesized in my laboratory for my academic project, I want to analyze it. Many of you might have got this answer that we don't have this column right now, so we are not able to process your sample. Yes, that is right, because unless and otherwise you will have a column which is required and necessary for the specific sampling, we are not going to proceed for our work, right? And at the end we are having a detector plays a crucial role, because in the first case what you did, you have injected a sample, it is converted from gas to vapor, then it is carried out in oven column, and there will be certain kind of packing will be there. If Dr. Khodwe agree with me, there are different kind of packings, and these packings are used to absorb your gas, or let's say the vapor which you are having. So depending upon that absorption properties, we are going to analyze the peaks, and that peaks has to be normalized and can be studied. So detector plays an important role. I feel next slide we are having different kind of detectors, right, Dr. Khodwe? In next slide, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the different kind of columns. These are of maybe from different manufacturers. It is having different size, shape, packing, material. If you are able to see that some maybe let's say if I'm not wrong, stainless steel, somewhat polymeric material. So based on requirement of the process, that volatile component, and your GC, O1, all these things, we are going to discuss about how the columns are being used in different GC processes. Okay. Yeah. Can we go for a next slide?
Sir, I have problem. My
Yeah. Yeah, you can share it once again. No issues, sir. Yeah. As I told you, there are different binding material are used in column. So it is also referred as gas solid chromatography, as well as the other term which is also referred as gas liquid chromatography. Okay. So in gas chromatography, let's say we are using the principle of adsorption, where everyone is aware about the principle of adsorption. And GLC, gas liquid chromatography, there we required partition. right? So in gas solid and gas liquid only, the idea is we have to look for its application where it is being used. Okay, so I feel Dr. Manish Khodwe is joined right now, but he's not able to join his with audio. Let us try to. Okay, fine. We'll go for move forward. Okay, so let us work on it. What exactly the GC is, right? And so, what are the different criteria? As let's say, if you have to analyze the different materials with the help of GC, the first one is volatility, which I had discussed. Yes, Dr. Manish. Hello.
Sir. Yeah. I'm here, sir.
Yeah. So, Dr. Manish, I had just started a few points. So we have discussed about what is. I have given the overview of gas chromatography, and now I have started with gas chromatography. How these two parameters like volatility and thermostability works. So volatility and thermostability, these two depends upon its characteristics, how it is being its response, that liquid's response to the thermal properties that is required in terms of the quantity which is kept in oven, right? So this is what
exactly.
Yeah, these two different two properties which we have to discuss about as a process engineer. And this is a gas chromatography principle which we want to highlight today. As I told you, there are some noble gases which are used. So in the fourth column, if you are able to see that helium, nitrogen, these are used as noble gases and detectors and different things. So I feel, Dr. Manish, if you are comfortable with the system.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Exactly, sir.
Yeah, please.
I want to add about this. When we are taking the sample for the analysis in gas chromatography, the sample we are injecting in the instrument in microliter. There will be the small syringe and we can inject with the help of a micro syringe, microliter amount of sample, and it will go first into the it will be converted into the gas stage, means gas phase, and that gas phase it will go through that column. Now we have discussed about the different type of column. So most of the time the adsorption technique will be used for the separation of the different component which is available in the liquid, right? So obviously the different component will have the different adsorption capacity, and then it will be eluting, having which is more attractive, more adsorb, it will elute later, and which is less adsorb, it will elute very fast. And in that way, the in front of the column detector will be there, and the detector will detect one by one component, and it will show into your uh, whatever the system is available. You can see in the form of peak, and the area under the peak, it will indicate the concentration of that component at different retention time. So this is the sequence: injection, and then it will go to the uh, PEP system, vaporization system, and then separation on the column, and it will be carried by the either inert gas. So why we are taking inert gas? Because it will not react with the component. So normally we are taking the either helium or nitrogen. So there are three types of gas is required which is attached to the GC. First is carrier gas, nitrogen. Second is hydrogen and oxygen. There are two different cylinders, hydrogen and oxygen, for the ignition. And to get the ignition, and that ignition is required, to convert the liquid phase into the gas phase. So this type of three connection will be there to the GC, which is coming to the oven. In oven part, the flammation it will take place and the conversion of liquid into the gas. And in that way, after the burning, it will coming into the gas phase. The carrier gas, nitrogen or helium, it will flow that components towards the detector, and detector will detect which compound is that. Next slide, sir.
Yeah.
So in this way, to measure the sample with the unknown concentration, if you have standard sample, for example, if you inject the before I want to explain that we have to fix the program in the GC. Is, for example, the at particular temperature 120 degrees centigrade, how much time you will carry that 120 degrees centigrade, for example 5 minutes, and then slowly there will be the option to increase the temperature 5 degree per minute, for example. So slowly the temperature will rise from 120 degree to 140 and so on. So that setting will be there to set the temperature, or you can put the any program, temperature program in that GC, so that in the further with the compound which is not able to convert into the gas phase, which having the more more boiling point, which will convert to gas phase later, and then it will absorb later also, and in that way we will get the sequence of peaks. So the concentration, you will inject the liquid into the gas column, and with the help of oven it will convert, and then slowly you will get the different peaks and you can find out the concentration. Now again I am coming to the back. If you have, for example, 100% pure sample, liquid sample, for example toluene, you can say toluene or acetone, and if you inject it in that program, you will get the single 100% one peak. Sir, go to the next slide. I want to show the peaks. See that at the end, you can see in the computer there are 3 peaks you can see. 3 peaks means what? In that liquid there are 3 components. So suppose you have 100% purity, one sample is there. So you can see only one peak, 100% peak at particular retention time. For example, it is coming 10 minutes. So in that 10 minutes, you can understand that it is acetone. And later, when you are injecting unknown sample, in that acetone is there. For example, 50% acetone and 50% toluene is there. So 150% peak will match with the your 100% peak. That RT will be the same. For example, 10 minutes. So in that 10 minutes, your acetone will come, and another sample when you are taking mixture 50% acetone and 50% toluene. So in that 50% toluene will come exactly in 10 minutes RT. And obviously the toluene having the more boiling point, so it will come, for example, 12 minutes or 15 minutes. So another 50% peak will come at the 15 minutes. Now you can understand one component, it is available acetone in that your unknown sample. Understand how to find out the concentration of unknown sample in your mixture or any sample which you are taking. Now I want to explain this gas chromatography. There are different, you can say it is a flow diagram. It is a gas regulator where, as I told you, 3 gases will be there, one nitrogen, hydrogen and oxygen. So it will have the regulator and it will attach to that column where your sample is going to inject inside the column. Okay, in that when you are injecting, you can see there syringe. sample injector port. In that injector port, the when you are injecting sample, it will go directly to the column. Now there are different types of column, as I told you. So it depends upon the what type of compound you have, and you have to select the column, and you can fit. Different columns can be fit into the one system of the GC. You can remove and fit another, or another you can remove. Like that, you can replace the columns. Normally there are two types of column, pack column, and one is capillary column. Capillary column is a highly sensitive. Whenever the retention times are very close, that time you have to use the capillary column, so that you will have the separate retention time of the, means when the boiling point or volatility is very close, that time you have to use the capillary column, and you will have the fine retention time of the different components. You will have the separate peak, even though the volatility is very close to the of the two or three components, right? Then it will go to the detector, and then detector, it will connect it to the your system PC, and you will have the different types of peaks in the PC, right? Next slide, sir. So these are the different types of, as I told you, chromatogram. You can see these different types peaks at different RT. RT means the scale x-axis. You can see 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So in that way, you will have the different peaks at different retention time, having the different components. The name of the components as given. This is the one of the example. If you have the liquid sample having the 8 components, the mixture of 8 components in that liquid, so it will show the different 8 peaks along with the percentage of each peak. Some component may be 10%, some component may be 20%, 30%, like that. The area under the peak will show the concentration of that individual component. Next slide, sir. So this is the different columns, I can say, and sir already, Palkar sir explained this. Okay, sir, can you explain application of GC?
As I told you earlier, let's say I give example of food, or let's say pharmaceutical industries. So this is not restricted only these two. If you are able to see that either GC, gas chromatography, or gas chromatography mass spectroscopy, that is GCMS, it is having wide range of application, starting from pharmaceutics to the spices and essential oils. In pharmaceuticals, all of you are aware that Gujarat is chemical hub or pharmaceutical hub. So GC and GCMS is very important. In pesticides, like Narmada valleys and other pesticide production fields, they want this GC to analyze the peaks. So concentration can be generated of the component which are available in your sample. That is what Dr. Khodwe was mentioning. Perfumes, it is very important. How you guys are going to analyze, or how you are going to give more, you are paying more for any perfume, it depends upon its fragrance. And fragrance nowadays, it is artificial. So which components are be there? Let's say sometimes it will be alcohol, sometimes it will be some kind of amines, those are mixed, right? So it may or may not be this component, just for example, but how to keep the appropriate amount or concentration of these liquids in perfume, that can be analyzed with the help of GC or GCMS. Different kind of food materials. Nowadays, you might have seen that different governing bodies, that is municipal commissioners and his officers, are going to the different, let's say, farsan houses and or different supermarkets, and he is looking for the expiry of the dates of the food or food materials or items. So how much amount of essential chemicals are added in the food, that can be also analyzed with the help of GC or GCMS. Petroleum fractions, as discussed by Dr. Khodwe, volatility and other natures, that those are very important. In polymers also nowadays, GCMS is having a crucial role, because we know polymers, uh, each and every aspect of human life is now being covered with the polymer. So being a perfect human being, or to respond our needs, we need polymers in each and every field. But if one should require that quality of polymers, so GC and GCM is also going to help for this. And the seventh one is very large aspect, environment. Right now you may be aware about that. Nowadays we are able to see, let's say from Punjab itself, or from Nepal itself, from that area we are able to see the peaks of Himalayan ranges, which is so far away from that places, maybe from 200 kilometers or more than that. But in between that, what happened during the lockdown, whichever the polluting materials were there, PM points, particulate matters, they disappeared. But what will happen as soon as that lockdown will be lifted, many vehicles, factories will function, and due to that there will be the pollution. So how to analyze this PM or the content of environment? So one of the aspect is gas chromatography, right? So let's say it can be applicable in any part of environment. So that is only one example I cited for as far as today's scenario is concerned. And very very important, biomedical field. Yes, if let us I take this opportunity to tell all participants, those are present today, that chemical engineering, it is one of the versatile branch, where it is always said that chemical engineers are jack of all trades. Chemical engineers can be hired in any company, if because we are having those kind of skills, we can suit in any field, right? So in forensic also there are different tests has been carried out, where GC and GCMS is very very important. If any one of you is interested to go for civil services, or let's say the posts given by the UPSC, you may find that somewhere they may ask you whether you are having you are certified GC or GCMS operator. So in various forensic labs, it is very essential that one should know about GC and GCMS. And the last one, as I discussed earlier also, that spices and essential oils, because food items or itineraries are very, very important. And unless and until it is tested, it is not being circulated in the market, right? So these are the different application of GC and GCMS. So next we are going to see about HPLC, that is high performance liquid for chromatography. The one application which you have seen, see, this is the GC, which we are explained to you earlier, right? Now HPLC, you may be able to see that here in this case we have seen about only the injector or injection. In HPLC you will be able to see that 3 to 4 bottles will be there, maybe it will be discussed by Dr. Kodwe, right? So let's say what are the applications of this HPLC? See, what we did at this point, we are going to separate the files. We are going to change the trends of this today's presentation. So we are going to cover different aspects which can emphasize the need of this GC and HPLC in market, right? So let us go for application first. What it tries to give you, it tries to give you the qualitative analysis, right? The one is quantitative and the other one is qualitative. So when you will require the qualitative analysis, high performance liquid chromatography can be used. Okay, one more essential let's say field is pharmaceutical or pharmaceutical. Okay, so for HPLC is used in pharmaceutical. It may be used in different chemical process industries and petroleum industries, forensic labs, as I had discussed you earlier, as in GC and GCMS also. Biochemical separation, it is very, very important. You might have seen that nowadays these biochemical engineers are in trend. Even when we are fighting with this COVID, there are so many people, those who are working in the field of biochemical engineering. So it is, let's say, a blend of medical, biological field and engineering field. Okay, so HPLC can be used for biochemical separations. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, food quality and its component. So checking the purity of that component, it can be done with the help of HPLC. Okay, so these are the various applications of HPLC. Uh, uh, Dr.
Yes,
Khodge,
sir. Thank you.
do you want to explain this?
Yeah,
Yeah, please proceed.
yeah. Nice explanation, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much,
sir.
sir.
I would like to differentiate the difference between. I would like to more focus on the difference between the HPLC and the GC.
Yeah,
When we have to
definitely.
use GC and when we have to use HPLC.
Mhm.
So important thing is if you have liquid which is able to convert into the gas phase, so you can use easily GC, gas chromatography. But when your compound is not converting easily to the gas phase, but it has solubility criteria. It is able to soluble into the any solvent, but cannot convert easily into the gas phase, then you can use HPLC easily. Moreover, uh, the compound which will have the more the property which is more important, like polarity or exchange capacity or absorption capacity also, then you can use HPLC. Because here you will see that when you are taking the sample in the microliter, when you are dissolving that small compound into the any solvent and you are injecting, it will not convert. It will not convert into the gas phase. It will remain into the liquid phase only, but it will absorb into columns as like GC. The basic principle is the same, adsorption, most of the time adsorption, or you can use the different, I will explain later what are the four categories you can see for the separation criteria. So when you are using liquid chromatography for the separation technique, when you are injecting sample small volume in the pack column, the individual component sample, the individual components, it will be transported along the pack tube. It will be as the column will be the same type GC. Matrix inside, they are using where adsorption is taking place or ion exchange taking place, and that your component, it will be adsorbed and then in the different according to different polarity or non-polarity or their affinity, and then first you have to inject and continuously. So next slide, the GC, the HPLC column will be attached with the different solvent, means continuously with the help of pump, the reciprocating pump, the solvent continuously it will pass through that column. Like how I told you, the inert gas, nitrogen or helium, how it will be carrying, it will pass through the column. The same way here, the solvent, different types of solvent, it will be continuously passed through the column, and we can say it is a carrier solvent as well as elution solvent. Elution means the component which is adsorbed on the column, it has to elute slowly, because for example you have two components, it will be adsorbed to the column and it will have different affinity. So what will happen, the component which is less affinated or less bonded, it will elute first and then second, and it will go to the detector, and detector it will show the one peak of that particular component. Again I am telling that you have to have the pure sample, 100% pure sample, you can say authentic sample. First you have to inject that and you have to see the retention time of that, and then you have to take the unknown sample and then match that particular unknown peak with the your known peak. Then you can say what component is it. Or you have to have the library in that your system. Nowadays library will be available at this program. Suppose acetone at what time it will come, So if it is that your peak is matching with the acetone RT, then you can say it is acetone. So like that, uh, the basic principle it will be same: adsorption taking place and then elution taking place, and you can see the different peaks, and it will have the different concentration according to the area under the curve, and you can identify the particular component in your unknown mixture. As I told you, there are, sir, previous slide. HPLC, it will have 4 basic categories. The one I have explained, that adsorption, liquid solid adsorption, which already many people have studied in the mass transfer. So one is adsorption, another is ion exchange. As I told you, suppose your column will be for example negative, cationic, then your component will be anionic. Then ion exchange will be taking place, and on the base of ion exchange, the elution will be taking place, and you can see the attachment and detachment, and you can see the different peaks. One more is partition. Partition coefficient means the distribution of that your compound in 2 solvent, like liquid-liquid extraction. So the distribution of that your compound in the 2 liquids, that will be the one of the criteria or basic principle for the separation. And last is size exclusion or gel, means depends upon the size of your molecule, the separation will taking place. Means the molecule will have very small size, it will pass through the that matrix, and bigger size it will go slowly, it will pass through that column and it will come later, the retention time will be more. So on that 4 basic principle, you can choose the column, or you can choose the column on the basis of your compound, which compound you want to separate. And it is a trial and error. It is not necessary that you have to take the column and you inject it and then you will get. So until unless you know the compound approximately, you cannot select the column properly. Next slide, sir. Hello.
Visible?
So yes, sir. So the main 2 types of HPLC technique will be there. On the, you can say, adsorption technique. So normal phase mode and reverse phase mode. So there are 2 main basic types of column is normal phase and reversible phase.
Yes.
So in first case, the separation particle, suppose it's polar, then the matrix particle, it will be non-polar. So on that basis of the separation will be taking place. And another is reverse phase. Reverse phase means the separation particle will be non-polar, and the matrix particle means in the column, the particle, the column which you have made by the some material, that is matrix particle, which will be polar, then you can say it is reverse phase. In reverse phase, what will happen? The highly adsorbed material, it will come first, and low adsorbed material, it will come later. But in normal phase, the highly adsorbed material will come later and low adsorbed material will come first. That is the difference. So it depends upon the, again, what type of material you have in the your analysis. So on that basis, you have to select the normal phase mode or reverse phase mode column. Next, sir. So this is already I have explained: adsorption, ion exchange, ion pair, gel permeation or size exclusion, and chiral phase. So these are the types, different types of the column. Basic principle, on that basic principle, separation is taking place in the HPLC. Okay. Next slide, sir.
Visible now?
So now, when you elution means what? First you have to inject the sample, it will adsorb on the column, and then you have to remove that component slowly, one by one. So that is called elution. And who will take elution? Who will is making elution? So the solvent which you are passing through the column, that is that solvent, it will have the polarity or non-polarity or affinity to that component, and it will remove that component from your column, and sequentially you can see the peaks. So there are two types measure. Isocratic separation means that whatever the solvent you are sending through the column, it will be constant. The concentration, most of the time what will happen, you have to make the buffer solution in that solvent, and the buffer concentration, if it is constant, for example ion exchange, you have to make the, for example, 0.2 molar solution or 0.3 molar or 1 molar. So that concentration, it will be constant, you can say it is isocratic. And for example, some component it is removing easily, and after that the component which is or compounds which is very very affinited to the matrix, so you want to remove that, so you have to increase the concentration, of the buffer solution. So in that case you can change the concentration buffer solution, or when if you are using the two mixture solvent, one is polar and one is non-polar, for example acetone and acetonitrile. Now acetone is more polar and acetonitrile is less polar, and you are sending the mixture 80-20 ratio, for example. So slowly what will happen, you are increasing the level of acetone and you are decreasing the level of acetonitrile, and the concentration of the acetone in the total mixture, it will be increasing, and slowly because of the polarity, high polarity, the removing of the component through the column, it will be slowly increasing, and you can say it is a gradient separation. Gradient means you have to change the concentration of your carrier mobile phase. Okay, next sir. So I want to highlight this. There are two application, major application. One is analytical, means when you are using this HPLC in the lab, you can say it is analytical, and just for the check of quantifying your quantity or concentration of that compound in your sample. But what about the large scale, industrial scale? So when you are going the same separation like HPLC in the industry for the separation of, for example, pharmaceutical compound, after reaction you will have the paracetamol in your mixture, and that paracetamol you want to remove, you want to separate 100% purity through this column. So you have to use the same technique, same principle, everything is same matrix, everything is same, but in large scale. And it is, you can say it is a preparative HPLC. The high amount, it is preparative. And when you are using the same technique in the lab, in the microliter, you can say it is the analytical HPLC. So based on the type of analysis, whether it is qualitative or quantitative, there are two types, and we are always using the both technique, qualitative, quantitative, in the analytical as well as preparative basis. Next sir. So these are the somewhat when you are talking about the adsorption, particle size of the separation material is very very important when you are selecting the column, and when you are selecting the mobile phase, and when you are selecting the especially the program time program or flow rate of the mobile phase to the column. So it is very very crucial. Micro particulate column packing. Now that column where your matrix will be, the column prepared by the matrix, different types of matrix like this polymeric or even natural cellulosic and so on, or ion exchange or partition coefficient matrix, and so many things are there. So it will be a microparticulate which is used in the column, and normally that silica particle, you can say that is also one of the matrix particle, and the diameter should have 3.5 to 10 micrometer in that column. So this is the full flow diagram. You can understand that solvent 1 and solvent 2 means you have to keep the two solvent when you are using the gradient technique. And degasser means whatever the gas will be, small amount of gas will be available in the solvent, you have to remove it first. So for that degasser is required, and then this compartment will be there where these two different concentration, for example acetonitrate you are taking 20% and 80% you are taking acetone, it will mix together and it will pass through the high pressure pump. That is the we calling HPLC means high performance liquid chromatography or high pressure chromatography. So pressure is giving the high pressure pump, so that with the help of that pressure it will go to the closed matrix like TAC column. So in TAC column you need the pressure to pass that solvent. So this work it will be done by the high pressure pump and it will pass through the column, and separation it will be detected by the detector, and you will have the number of peaks which can identify what type of compound is there. Next, sir. So normally this is the look like from outer external arrangement of the HPLC. In that, inside the column will be there, and you can see that the bottles will be there in the top. Through this pipe, the amount of slowly that flow of the mobile phase, it will go to the column. So from the externally you cannot understand properly, but this is the look of the HPLC. Next, sir. So here also we can see that different bottles for the mobile phase, and it will connected to the then pump, and pump then connected to the. So you cannot see here properly. Next, sir. So again, this is the flow diagram as I explained you, and it will be the same, the flow.
Yeah.
Mobile phase to pump, pump to sample wall to column, column to detector, detector to data acquisition, processing, and then printer and then recorder. So you can, it will be the normal assembly of the different component of the HPLC. Next. So this is the small picture of peristatic pump, and it will be it is a major important that peristatic pump, it gives the exactly flow. You can say for example 2 ml per minute. So it will give exactly 2 ml per minute only. That is the accuracy you can make it with the help of peristatic pump, as well as pressure. So that is the reason we are using the peristatic pump, reciprocating. Then this is already I have explained solvent delivery, that isocratic means only one concentration you have to give, and gradient means there are two types, low pressure gradient and high pressure gradient. So it depends upon you. First it is a trial and error basis. First you have to see whether that peaks are coming separately or not. When you want again more separation, then you have to use trial and error of the gradient system. How to mix, how much amount of different solvents you have to take and pass through the column, and slowly you have to see the peaks isolation, and wherever you are satisfied, that solvent you have to fix for the particular that component mixture. Next, sir.
Sir, injection system.
So injection system is very simple. Doctor having the injection and they are injecting the injection to human being like that. Same syringe, 1 microliter. 1 microliter syringe means you can see understand 0.1 microliter, 0.2 microliter. Also you can inject small amount. You have to inject. The reason is as you take the less amount, the separation will be more and more good because column size, surface area of the matrix, it will be constant. So the another, to make the precise, to make the more and more precise, what you can do, you can take the small amount of material, very dilute material, and you have to inject, so that the important thing is you should get the peaks in the particular range. And there will be the injection valve where when you are injecting, it is non-reversible, irreversible, so that material will not come reverse. So there will be the wall, non-return wall, and it will load. This is the small picture of the column where the guard will be available on the column, and because column is very delicate, the matrix material is very delicate, it will be covered by guard, and that column normally it will be vertical only because we have to take the advantage of gravity also rather than the pressure. But here most of the time gravity plus pressure both can be used as a pressure in the column. Next, sir. So you can see now when you are injecting, this is small picture illusion of the column, and you can see the band separation. Band separation means what? You might have known about the TLC, thin layer chromatography. So that small thin plate will be there, and if you put one dot and you put that plate into the chamber where you are keeping the mobile phase or the mixture of the solvent, what will happen? Because of the capillary action, the solvent will be rise on the plate, and what will happen? The separation of that component in the mixture, it will take place. So what will happen? The low adsorbed material, it will run very fast, and highly adsorbed material will run slowly, and you can see the different bands on the thin layer chromatography. The same principle, or you can say the same logic, it will be available, you can see in the column, in the HPLC column. So the same thing happened in the separation, and you can see the separate band, and separate band will be detected by detector, and you can see the different peaks with the different concentration, right? These are the column specification. Different columns will be available. Normally the column length will be 5 to 30 centimeter. Column diameter will be 2 to 50 mm. Particle size in that column will be 1 micro to 20 micro. And there are different types of material: glass material, polyethylene material, PEEK material, SS, stainless steel. So in the market, lot of types of material column will be available with the different matrix as well as the outer cover also. Next, sir. Now if you see the properties, on what property the separation is taking place. So one, we can discuss the particle nature. The particle nature means whether it is spherical, uniform size, porous material, which is very important. As you know, the spherical material having the highest surface area, so we are using most of the time spherical and uniform size material. Why uniform size material? Because the porosity will be uniform overall the column, so you will not have the problem of the separation. Second is surface area. Surface area is very important. As more as possible, surface area should available, but provided how much amount of pressure you can generate through the pump. On that basis, the particle size will be you have to. This is the when you are making the column. It is the column manufacturer how they are deciding. So these are the properties they have to maintain. So C18 octadecyl this is one of the type of material. C8, C4. So number of carbons amount available in that matrix, and it gives the different size, particle size and porosity and adsorption capacity. So totally it depends upon the what type of compound you are analyzing. On that basis, you have to change the column and you have to see which column is suitable for you. It is not the fix that okay, you take this one column and do separation or do the analysis. It is not permissible. Always you have to do the trial and error and you have to fix the column for particular your compound. Next, sir. However, it depends on the type of chromatography and functional group. Functional group means what? If you think about the ion exchange chromatography, because for example, I did amino acid separation. 24 amino acid will be available in one protein molecule, and it is very fine. Now, protein molecule itself is small size, and if you bifurcate, if you break again into the 24. So you can imagine how much, what will be the size of amino acid. And if you want to separate one amino acid from the out of 24, what type of precision, what type of selection of column, what type of everything you have to go through the very depth. And this is very important. So most of the time I have choose this ion exchange, and ion exchange because which having the affinity of that particular amino acid to the whom, on that basis we select the column and separate it. And that's why functional group is very important, because in if you say the amino acid, there are three types of acidic, basic, and then aproteric, means neutral. So in that regards you have to select the functional group. And separation, most of the time hydroxy group will be available in your compound, so you can choose the where is the hydroxy group having the affinity to which matrix, that matrix column you can select. If it is available, hydroxy groups is available in your separating component, then you can choose the hydroxy also. And then you can say this reverse phase mode C18 column, most of the time they are using C8 nitrate column. There are so many types are available in the columns and matrix. Next, sir. And this detector, it is available in the GC as well as the HEL, HPLC. So there are different types of detector you can use: UV detector, refractive index detector, and photodiode array. So now PDA detector is very nowadays it's very popular, because detecting detection is very important. If it is possible that with the help of refractive index and there is a difference of refractive index, then you can use refractive index. If your material is ultraviolet detectable in the range of, for example, 180 to 300, then you can use UV detector. But if it is not in the UV range, then you cannot use UV detector. So in that case, you have to go through refractive index, and if it is not work out, then you have to go to photodiode array detector. So that is also very means selection of detector itself also one of the major criteria depends upon your sample. Next, sir. As I told you, selection of solvents. So most of the time, hexane, chloroform, acetonitrile, methanol, acetone. These are the different types of polar, non-polar, combination of polar, non-polar. Most of the time we are using the in HPLC. And if you want to use water, it should be very pure. One thing I will tell you, your sample should be very pure. It should not have another contaminant which will be stuck up into the column. So that care you need to take. When you are taking even microliter sample, it should be very, very clear. The lot of filtration and all sample preparation will have. And one of the millipore, one of the company, it gives the one of the filter. If you pass to that sample through millipore filter, it gives the very, very pure sample, and you can inject it so that it will not have trouble to the your HPLC column. Otherwise, what will happen? Your column will be stuck up. Everything will be stuck up into the column, and then finally you have to throw that column. You cannot use it. It can, even though you cannot clean also. Next, sir. So, as I told you, polar, non-polar, this is the very, very important criteria. And for adsorption technique also, the separation as well as adsorption and separation is totally depend upon the polarity and non-polarity of your material as well as the your solvent system. Highly polar molecules, most of the time you can use in the RP phase, reverse phase chromatography. And if it is acid base, you have to use the ion exchange chromatography. You have to select the ion exchange chromatography column. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining this webinar. Just to summarize, today we tried to discuss about gas chromatography, mass spectroscopic application, and high performance or high pressure liquid chromatography. So you right now, I feel at the end of this webinar, all the attendees may be able to understand what exactly GC and HPLC is, what is the working of HP and GSCLC, and you will be able to apply the knowledge which you have gained today somewhere in the industry, right? So different applications also we have seen along with the techniques. So I feel this is the time from the sides of the host that complete this webinar as far as the this webinar is concerned, because when we were discussing about the topic GC and HPLC, it is not a topic that can be covered within an hour. So but still we tried to cover a lot of point. If Dr. Manish is agree with me that we have covered a lot of
Yes.
points, but still if you are having any doubts regarding today's session, you are free to ask any question. You can write in your chat box, or if you want to discuss with us right now, please raise your hand so I will allow you, so others will be able to know who is speaking. So if you want to discuss any points with us, please raise your hand, unmute yourself, and start discussion. If any doubts, any suggestions, even yes, Sneha, do you want to discuss something?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm a PG student in Chankheda.
Okay.
And I am working on isotopic distillation of IPA and water.
Okay.
So after the separation is done in a packed column, sir, how to analyze my system? I have selected GCTCD. So is there any other method through which, because the graph I'm getting is a steep one, it is not a peak, it is going up and then there is a slope. So could you please help me in this?
Okay,
exactly, man.
Yeah, before just going to Dr. Manish, I want to highlight only 2 points, though I am not expert like Dr. Manish. But the one point may be whichever the column you are using plus your analysis technique. So please, just a suggestion, try to explore something about the column which you are using. And the second one, which discussed by Dr. Manish, the analysis technique, because if we are injecting within a few microliters, try to analyze whether though it is isotropic solution, either there is any trace of unwanted material, right? Over to you, Dr.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You are correct, sir. I want to add some points. Single peak means when you know that there are 2 components or 3 components, even though you are seeing only one single peak, means it is clear indication that separation is not taking place properly. So what you have to do now, you have to change the column first of all, suppose you are not changing column, then you have to change the system. If you are talking about HPLC, then you have to use the gradient system as well as the you can change your solvent system.
Okay, sir.
So yeah, so that you should get the separation properly. You should have, suppose you know the two components are there, then the bifurcation of the two peaks should be there. Until unless you have to continue, you have to do the trial and errors continuously, or some literature is available for particular component. So what type of mobile phase you can take, what type of solvent you can select, it will be given in that literature. The same thing you can use, and you have to separate the peaks. Until unless separation of peak, you cannot quantify or you cannot check the concentration of that compound.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sneha.
Nice.
Thank you, Sneha, for this fruitful
Welcome.
discussion. Yeah. Anyone else want to discuss anything? Paras, Arun, Dharmik, do you want to share your views on today's discussion? You are free to discuss. Bhargav, Dharmik. Okay, fine. So I take this opportunity as one of the coordinator of today's webinar on behalf of Department of Chemical Engineering, Faculty of Technology, Marwadi University, that all of you are here to listen this topic, and I feel you are interested, and I feel we serve the purpose. So on this note, I want to thank you, all of you present here, and all of you are requested just put your email ID in chat box, though I have all the details of you, but it will be good for me for further processing. So all of you are requested to put your email IDs in your chat box. Let me check whether the first it is working or not. Yeah, I feel it is working. Somebody texted. Yeah, fine. It is working. It is working. Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Sneha, for your participation. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Khodwe. So, shall we stop now?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
Good day, everyone. Yeah.